This is my $300 gaming PC that I put together with a bunch of used parts, some of which are almost 10 years old. It has an i7 7700K, a GTX 1080 Ti, and 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. And what this thing can still do in 2025 is astounding. I'm continually surprised by it. And in the video today, we're trying to test some bigger games. In the last video, many of you gave suggestions of titles that you wanted me to test, so let's hop in and look at it and then ultimately answer the question, is it worth spending $300 or $400 on the used market to build something similar? Well, I have a lot of thoughts on that, so let's get past the games first and I'll share that. Apex Legends came up in the comments a lot. Now, this game plays great at 1440p. I moved the PC from the TV, which is the main purpose of this rig and the setup, back onto a gaming monitor to feel it on the 1440p 144 hertz monitor, and it's smooth, it's responsive, no issues except my own lack of skill. Totally choking at the end of the third match I recorded. First multiplayer game I played in a year, and we get second because I couldn't just aim very well at the end. But the frame rate only dips at the start of each match, basically, and that's when you're near the dropship with all the people. As soon as you land, it jumps right back up. No issues whatsoever. The settings I'm using, it's a blend of mainly high, some medium, and a few low options. It's a setup that I used to use when I played this game, very much on the competitive side to get the smoothest experience possible without really sacrificing the visuals. And I figure if people are wondering about it, pretty much all the esport games will run just fine on this rig. They optimize for such a wide range of builds. Now, Elden Ring was the next one that a lot of people had asked for, and unfortunately, this is where the Reclaimer rig comes up short, the CPU bottleneck. So the 7700K is a 4-core processor, and Elden Ring wants 6-core processors, and unfortunately, the 7700K was right at the end of that kind of generation. And so, no matter what you do, you're gonna get frame pacing hitches in Elden Ring. Now, I'm testing in the Shadow of the Erd Tree area, but it's all like 40 to 50 FPS with some big drops and hitches. And yeah, this is where you feel the limits of the older architecture. Now, Elden Ring's not known for like amazing, crazy optimization, but I have played it on a 7800X 3D and it was just buttery smooth. And this is one of those questions where even though I tested it at 4K and 1440p and 1080p, and yeah, I cranked some settings down and you can make it better, it honestly is probably wiser if you're looking to build something like this to look a generation further. So like an AM4 kind of build. We'll talk about that later, but Elden Ring I probably wouldn't recommend on this rig. It's playable, but not the best. However, Cyberpunk 2077 blew my expectations out of the water. 1440p, high settings, regularly above 50 frames per second. I could not believe it. It's so playable and enjoyable, and all of this was on an old hard drive because I didn't have the money with this build to buy an SSD. And so the only issue was driving fast through Night City. I could outpace the loading speed of the ancient hard drive, and we'll talk about that too. Maybe I can budget in like an old Gen 3 NVMe drive. But this game I've played through on a 4070 Ti with ray tracing, and it is gorgeous. It is amazing, but I'm still blown away. My first playthrough was on a 1080 Ti with no ray tracing features, and so they've made a game that still looks phenomenal with and without ray tracing, and you can totally play this game and enjoy it on a controller, I feel like, at that 50 FPS mark. You can easily lock it to 60 if you drop some settings down, if you went to 1080p, and on a TV, it is super nice. And yet another surprise for me, and a game that was recommended a bunch in the comments, was Red Dead Redemption 2. 1440p plays very well. You're holding above 60 FPS, no problem. Looks gorgeous. Most of the settings I believe are on high, and really fun to play this on a big TV. In fact, I've had this in my Steam library since last summer sale. I've only put about 11 hours in on it, and I probably will play more of it on the TV setup. So this PC is going to encourage me to play plenty of these games that I've had, just in a setting that better fits the type of game that it is, in my opinion. Another huge surprise, I threw Armored Core 6 on here, honestly believing it would have the same issues that Elden Ring would, but it didn't. It runs really great on this hardware. 1440p, pretty much all high settings. You can get 60 FPS and hold it consistently. And again, this is probably now how I'm going to finish this game, is on this setup on the TV. And if I ever need to, I don't know, throw back to the main rig, Steam's cloud saves are just so easy and seamless for the most part. They just work. I've also been playing some PC Game Pass titles like Gears of War 4 and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Gears 4 plays on 4K high settings, no issue, and looks absolutely amazing. I think Gears 4 was very underrated. Super fun game and worth trying. And then Ori, obviously beautiful and obviously a lighter game that this card has no problem running at 4K and holding 60 FPS with. So Game Pass definitely adds even more value to a build like this. Outside of that, I've been playing Cuphead again, trying to beat that game. I forgot how hard it is. Very fun. So let's transition here. The important question, is this something you should go out and build? Well, probably not, but let's break it down. Do you already own a modern console or like a modern PC? If the answer is yes, then this kind of a build is a great way to add a budget PC gaming experience on the side, maybe a gaming PC for your TV. If the answer is no, you don't have a modern console or a modern PC, how interested are you in modern AAA games? How future-proof do you want to be? If you want to be playing a lot of modern titles, then you are better off saving for something a little bit stronger and newer. However, there's plenty of people like me who didn't really want to spend much money on this. I knew it was mainly going to be kind of like a Steam Deck replacement, but for the TV, so indies and older games and emulation and media use. For me, this setup is just about perfect. However, if you answered yes to the future-proof or wanting the modern experience, but you still want to go used and you're still not looking to shell out the full price of a modern build like an AM5 build, gotta be honest, if you save up about $200 more, you can put together like an AM4 rig with a 6700 XT, and that is going to give you way more horsepower and way less CPU bottleneck issues than the 7700K will. And that leads us right into what I have learned over the last few weeks. I'm mainly using this system on the TV, and as such, I bought a cheap Bluetooth keyboard trackpad combo, and it stinks. I should have spent the 20 extra bucks for the proper Logitech one that has all the great reviews. The cheap one here constantly disconnects and lags out. Very frustrating. Don't go cheap here. I didn't want to buy a new controller for the setup, so I figured I could use my old Xbox Elite that's like 7 years old at this point, so I shelled out the $30 for the Microsoft Xbox wireless adapter. It is a bummer that you need to buy it, but it's worked pretty flawlessly with the controller so far. Very curious about the 8-bit Do controller that I've seen. It's like $50. Apparently it looks great. If you have any experience with like PC gaming controllers that you would recommend, please drop your thoughts in the comments down below. I will say I've never really interacted with Steam's big picture mode. It's phenomenal. It is way better on the TV than I expected. I've got it set up now to auto boot at launch, and it just starts the experience kind of like a console, and it feels super good. Yeah, you have to bring the keyboard and mouse out sometimes, which is a bummer. And developers, oh, it's the worst when they have their own sub launcher and you're using big picture mode and you have to pick up the mouse and keyboard to press launch again on the secondary launcher. That is super frustrating, but give big picture mode a try. I even like it like on the monitor, like at the desk. With this build, I did not have the budget to purchase an SSD for. I just had an old hard drive. And unfortunately, running games off of an old hard drive is painful. The load times just suck. So I may buy a $50 1 terabyte Gen 3 NVMe drive. That would fix it completely. We'll see. Again, I've been trying to spend as little as possible on this build, but yeah, we have definitely crossed that threshold a while ago. We're running off of an old spinning hard drive is pretty frustrating for some of these bigger games. And honestly, on the whole, 1440p and some 4K gaming on the TV with high settings on games like Cyberpunk has been way better than I ever thought possible for this hardware. And here's where we get to be brutally honest. A lot of the used build videos that I see like to massage the prices, assuming that you'll find the absolute best Facebook Marketplace deal ever, or you'll stumble into some crazy $50 GPU at like a garage sale or something. And I don't like that, okay? I'm trying to price it like a normal person would using eBay. looking at listings and trying to be realistic. So the deal is, yes, you could build something similar for like $300 to $400. However, there's shipping, there's tax. If you look at my B-roll, you don't need the Noctua cooler that I have. It's crazy overkill. There are so many cheap $20 little air coolers that will be just fine for this setup. You don't need a crazy nice PSU, like a bronze rated 600 is going to be just fine. But here's the truth. If you're really looking at something that's $300 or $400, okay, the used AM4 marketplace is starting to look pretty appetizing. If you can just wait and save up a few $100 more, like maybe $250, maybe $300 more, now you're in the realm of something a lot more future proof. You're getting newer architecture, you're getting the multi-threaded performance, the modern GPU features that now a lot of games are just baking and building straight into it. And that brings into the discussion, if you're now at that $500 and $600 mark for a used older rig that you're putting together, I think the consoles deserve a little bit of credit here too. The Series X and the PS5 and the Switch 2, they tend to pack in quite a bit for the money. Obviously, a lot of the tech there is on upscaling and dynamic resolution and things like that. It's easy to dunk on consoles, but the more I do this, there is fantastic value for the hardware. A lot of the reasons I've been leading towards PC is because the seasonal sales on GOG and Steam are just amazing, and I kind of like the versatility and the ownership on PC just a little bit more. But frankly, it's just about gaming. This whole series is about trying to make use of what you have, not being caught in the tech FOMO trap of always buying the latest and the greatest, because surprise, you don't need it. And I think I am going to continue down this route. If you'd like to see me try to build a more future-proof budget system, let me know. I can't afford to build a system just for content. This is just like a side gig and a hobby, but maybe eventually if there's enough support and momentum, we could prioritize it, because I'm kind of hooked on this budget PC thing. This is amazing, discovering all this new value and whatnot. So thanks for watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Any games you would like to see. Tell me about your setup, controller suggestions, or whatever you want me to test next. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. If you enjoyed the video, check out the first one in the series, and we will see you next time.